Hello friend, welcome to my channel. In this channel, we have started a new series which is data analysis using R. So in this video, we will be seeing the introduction of data analysis using R. Let's start the introduction and let's talk about what is R. R is an open source programming language and software environment for statistical computing and graphics that is supported by the R Foundation for Statistical Computing. R language is widely used among statisticians and data miners for developing statistical software and data analysis. R was invented by Ross Ihaka and Robert Gentleman at the University of Auckland, New Zealand, and is currently developed by the R Development Core team. R is basically named to gentlemen of these two R authors, Ross Ihaka and Robert Gentleman. Now let's see the logo of R. Next, talk about the important features of R. First, R is a well-developed, simple and effective programming language which includes decision-making, flow control, recursive function, input and output methods. Number 2, R actually gives a storage facility that is very much useful for statistical analysis. So we will see it later on when we do data analysis using R. Number 3, R has the facility to create arrays, lists, vectors and matrices, and of course R has some operators, predefined operators, and one can operate these operators on arrays, lists, vectors and matrices. R has a large collection of packages and tools for data analysis, and data analysis like linear and nonlinear modeling, classical statistical tests, time series analysis, classification, clustering and many more. Last but not the least, R is an open source platform that is a free platform for personal use. Obviously this is not free for organization, but for the student this is a very important thing that R is open source and free. Now let's talk about how we can install R. First, like the other software, what we can do, we can download the software and then we can double click on the software on the .exe file and we can install. So this is very easy like the other softwares. Basically R has two separate softwares, which is R Console and the R Studio. Those two softwares basically does the same job. You can run the same script, same code in these two platforms, but this the left hand side, the R Console one, which is basically the typical R Console, and this R Studio is basically has a better user interface as compared to the typical R Console. So I'll prescribe to use both or to keep both two softwares, R Console and R Studio, in your computer, and I'll provide the link, download link for this R Console and R Studio in the description section of the video. The links are free. You can just download and install this R from that R official website. Now let's see how to run R. Okay, so let's go to the R Studio first. Okay my friends, now we are in the R Studio. So R Studio is typically look like this. First, let me tell you few things about R Studio. First, you can see the leftmost corner, you can see the R Studio logo, R written over here. Then you can see several options over here. First is the file, edit, code, view, plots, sessions, build, debug, profile, tools and help. At first what you need to do is like go to sessions and click on sessions. You can see the term set working directory. First you need to change or set your current working directory. To do this, you can see here choose directory, or you can use Ctrl plus Shift plus H to change your or to select the directory. First I am clicking here, and you can use any folder of your choice. Here I will use this folder R lesson to choose my directory. So basically to do this, left click on there, then click open. You can see over here this is written set wd, the new directory have been selected. So wherever file, which file I will create, the plots and all, everything will be saved in this particular directory. Okay, now this thing that you are seeing, this particular section of this window is basically your R script, where you write your program and you can run the whole code. At the left bottom section you can see three things: console, terminal and jobs. Here you can see this is the console section, where you can see you can get your feedback, what are the codes are being run and all. This is the terminal, one can use the terminal also, and these are the job section. So first you can stick to the console section for this time being. Now another section to look at is the rightmost side of this window, which is there are four important things. First one is the environment, where you can see the variables, the functions that you have used, and the entire history will be, entire variables will be shown over here. Okay, and now this is the history. What are the things that you have typed, what are the codes that you have already been compiled over here, that you can see the whole history. These are the connections and the tutorial. I am not going into those two sections. Now come to this section, which is the down section at the right part of the screen, which have 5 things: files, plots, packages, help and viewer. First thing, this file section shows, you can see the directory R lesson, the folder that I have selected for the directory. All the files will be shown over here. In the directory, the files that are there are lesson, so everything will be shown over here. Then plots, so the plots will be created in the R. Every plots will be saved in that particular directory and will be shown, will be visible over this window. Here the important things, which are the packages. I have already said in the features of R section that R has that ability to incorporate new packages and add it to the new library, and so that you can make use of several functions, so that you can do better data analysis. So for an example, let's explain this a bit. First of all, say for an example you want to use support vector machine, a classification technique, but R doesn't have that code inbuilt into that system. So how to do that then? Then what is to be done is, like, you find that SVM in the packages, download that packages, install that packages, add that package into the R library, and then you can make use of that particular code, right? This is how R actually works. So this is the packages that already have been installed. What you need to do, you need to incorporate this into the library of R. I'll show you in the detail in the later videos. Now this is the help section. Basically you can type everything that you need help of. First of all, let's type something called classification. Say I need help on the classification. You can see the packages and the codes, and every codes will be, the description of the codes will be given over here, the particular form of the code, and this is the viewer part. I am not going into that one. This is an overall introduction on RStudio. Now let's see how we can run our first code into the RStudio. So we can run the code into two ways. First, you can write it into the script, because this is the script I already told. So this is the script I have written. First, what you can do is, like, you select it, you click on the line that you want to run and click the run button. Okay, you can see this str1, the string 1, has that value hello world. Okay, else what you can do, you can just directly type on the console section down here. You can write down str1 equals to hello world. and click enter. Okay, that is also another way you can run a particular line. Okay, another thing to mention is that whenever you want to comment some line, you have to use that hash. Okay, so for an example, if I use that particular hash and if I try to run this particular line, and you can see that nothing will be performed. So again, if you see that for an example, I want to run str2, a hash in the front, str2 equals to something like hello. You can see, you do not see the value over here. This is the environment. I have already told you can see all the variables over here, but you can see str2 does not appear. So if you use hash in the front, in the beginning of the line, that particular line will not be performed. Okay, now let's talk about what do we mean by reserved words. The reserved words are such words which has already some predefined meaning. Reserved words are such words which is already being predefined in R. That is, the words has already some meaning in R. Let's see the words that are already been reserved in R. First, if, else, repeat, while, function, for, in, next, break, true, false, null, infimum, NaN, that is not a number, Na, which stands for not available, Na integer, integer valued, Na real for real number, Na for complex variable, Na character, and 3 dots. So these are the words which already have predefined. Now let's see, we can also see the reserved word from the RStudio console itself. Now let's go back to the RStudio and see what are the reserved words. We are in the RStudio and let's see the reserved words. How to see that? First, here we will use this command help reserved. Let's run this command, select this line and click the run button, and you can see over in the help section here, you can see the reserved over is coming over here. You can see the words if, else, repeat, while, function that we already have been mentioned earlier in the PPT. So these are the list of reserved words. Now let's talk about how to define identifiers. Okay, we have already seen what are the reserved words. Now what are the things we need to keep in mind when we define variables, rather we call identifiers. First rule, we can use combination of letters, we can use combination of digits, dots and underscore as well. But my friend, there are another two restrictions rather. First one, start with a letter. To be in the safer side, always start with a letter. So if we start, don't start with digits, don't start with dot, and don't start with underscore also. Okay, to be in the safer side, always start with a letter. Rule number 3, you should not use any reserved words for defining variable. Okay, because reserved words already being predefined, it has already some prior meaning in the R. So you cannot assign some new variable to these reserved words. Let's see some valid identifiers and some invalid identifiers. These are some examples. First, any word like total, then sum, then we can use the underscore in between two words to separate the two words. Okay, also we can use a dot to use the separation between two words. You can see division of 2. Here there are 3 words, division of and 2. We are separating these 3 words by using underscore between them. So these all are some valid identifiers, valid variables. Okay, now let's say few invalid identifiers as well. If we start with dot, okay, so if we start with dot 0ab, so obviously this is not a valid identifiers. We already have said we should not start with a digit. Here 1b, it's not a valid identifiers. Again, if we start with an underscore, this is not also considered to be a valid identifiers. Let's go back to the RStudio console and see few valid and invalid identifiers. Okay, we are in the RStudio console. First, let's see few valid identifiers like we already told. For an example, sum equals to 2. Okay, this is valid. You can see in the environment that the variable sum has value 2, and if you just keep the mouse over here, you can see that the type is numeric and 56 bits. Okay, so this is a valid identifiers. Well, instead of writing sum, let's writing 0 then sum. Okay, let's see what happens, and we try to assign this with 5 and hit enter. Okay, some error happened. You can see the error happened over here. You can see the error says unexpected symbol in this 0 sum. Okay, so this is an inappropriate, or this is not a valid identifiers. Okay, so this is an invalid identifiers. Okay, now let's talk about constants. What are constants? Constants are the entities whose value cannot be altered. Okay, so I repeat, constants are such entities whose value cannot be altered. So in broader sense, we can divide constants into two main part. One is numeric constants and another is character constants. Okay, we further divide numeric constants by 3 types: integer type, double type and complex type. Okay, say here is an example. If some number followed by capital L is there, we mean this constant to be integer. Okay, and this comment type of typeof is being used to find out the type of the particular constants are being used. Let's go to the RStudio console again and see how we can use this type of comment. In the RStudio console again, first we want to run this line type of 5L. Okay, let's see. We have already seen this should be of integer type. Let's run this line. Okay, we can see this. This is the type of this 5L is integer. So the number followed by capital L is considered to be of integer type. Similarly, let's run the type of 5, this line. If you do that, you can see that this is of double, that is of real number. Similarly, the type of 5i, that is the number followed by I, will reflect complex number. We can see the type of this 5i is nothing but a complex number. Okay, now as you can see, now let's see some character. Okay, now here the mango is written over an inverted comma, which is basically a character type, and if I write type of this one, we can see, if we hit run button, we can see this is a character type. Okay, so this comment is very much important, type of. So if we want to see type of a particular variable or type of a particular constant, we can make use of this particular function or this particular comment. Okay, so this is the part 1 or the introduction of R session. In the next video, we will look into the variables and operators. Okay, thank you very much.